Zone Review. Book 101's all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest helping overwhelmed solo business owners spot what's actually blocking progress. One of his advocacy, and of course, the author of the book Uncomfortable Comfort Zone, no other than Mr. Rick Tracewell.
Hi there.
Welcome, Mr. Rick on Book 101
Thank you.
Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Well, I'm basically longtime small business owner. I've owned several small businesses, and uh, and so I basically have found over the years myself in some uncomfortable comfort zones. So I'm just trying to uh, basically help other small businesses, which I do within my business. But I figured I'd put it in a book form, and because I've gotten a lot of feedback, and it's mainly just awareness.
Awareness and deed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Mr. Rick. Thank you. So let's define the uncomfortable comfort zone. It sounds like a paradox. What makes the zone so uncomfortable for small business owners, even though it's familiar or seemingly safe?
It is it's something that most small business owners, and again, I speak from experience, find themselves in and usually don't know what it is. They can't define it. They just know once they hear about it what the feeling is. So I mean, in a nutshell, it's staying busy, keeping working, focusing on what they know and what they feel comfortable with, but not handling certain things that they know they need to handle on one level. So they just keep busy, but they don't feel as productive with their business, especially when it comes to profitability and that sort of thing. So they kind of slip into it just by staying busy.
Staying busy. I think that is a good point, Mr. Rick. So, what are the telltale signs and symptoms that a business owner is stuck in this zone? Is it more about revenue plateaus, constant overwhelm, or feeling of quiet desperation?
Um, yes, to all those basically, but
All
it
the
isn't
above.
right, right. It's really uh, it kind of is a feeling of being stuck. So they feel like they're almost like on a treadmill, like they feel like they're working their butt off and they're putting in the hours, but the business isn't progressing the way they would like it to.
Hmm, interesting. Mr. Blake. And why is the particular trap so common and seductive for entrepreneurs? What is the psychological payoff that keep them clinging to it?
I think it's probably different for everyone. Speaking for myself, it is. I mean, as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, solo business owner, when you're like I said, working your butt off, when you're putting in the hours, it it feels like that's what you're supposed to do, but somewhere deep inside, you know that it's not working the way it should. And being a solo business owner, you have no one to answer to. There's no one to tap you on the shoulder and say, "Hey, it's not working." So you end up just keep pushing and keep working. You you sacrifice free time, you sacrifice time with your family, you sacrifice time with your significant other, relatives, that kind of thing. You don't like to do things for yourself, like pleasurable things, reading a book, going to a concert, that kind of thing, because you feel so obligated that if you're going to have any spare time at all, you need to put it into the business. So it's an earnest position, but you can get stuck in this zone.
Mm-hmm. Yes, don't stuck, people. Don't stuck. Move on. You likely identify specific arenas where owners get stuck. Where do you see it most often? In marketing and sales, or delegation and team building, or strategy and innovation?
You know, I purposefully wrote this book so that it's not specific to anyone because I also know myself and I know that if I saw something uh, that doesn't apply to me, that's the way you just throw the book down. This doesn't apply to me. So I kind of keep this book general. It's more about being aware of it. That helped me. Being aware of it and knowing where your own uh, shortcomings are. We all have them. Whether it's financing, the money stuff, whether it could be marketing, it could be technology. I mean, it's really it runs the gamut. So, um, there's really so many different pitfalls, and it's so varied. Depends on what each person's situation is. So so there's a lot of different places they can find themselves and reasons why they're in that situation.
Mr. Rick, tell us, how does the founder's identity trap, where the business is an extension of the self, make it exponentially harder to step out the comfort zone and delegate, systematize, or change direction?
Usually small business owners, I mean, you definitely are prideful in a lot of ways of owning your own business. There's a sense of pride, especially if you uh, did it all by yourself, which most of us have. You um, you find yourself, like I said, staying busy, but sometimes you can't even see around the problem because, like I said, you're solo. You don't have anybody to answer to. So while you're staying busy, everybody else thinks, "Oh boy, that guy works his butt off, or that girl works her butt off." But somewhere. Sometimes it's really obvious, but sometimes it's just a feeling that you have that things should be different. You shouldn't have to work so hard, and there are areas of your business that you wish were better. You know they need to be better, and somewhere deep down you know what it is and where you need to delegate, but it's really tough to give up. If it's like a feeling of giving up control, so it's very difficult for solo entrepreneurs to give up that control at the beginning. Once you cross that threshold, you start to see the benefits of it, but getting there is the tough part.
Mr. Rick, let's talk about the money. How does a scarcity mindset or fear of financial instability actively keep a business small and stuck even when growth is possible?
I think it's lack of experience. I think a lot of us start a small business because we see, I mean, it's the typical entrepreneur thing. We see a need or we see something that we can fill. Like I said, it's either a need or you see what's out there and you feel that you can do better and help people and you know that there's a need for it. So it doesn't mean we have MBAs. It doesn't mean we went to school for general business. Some people do, but the people who are finding themselves in the uncomfortable comfort zone, they aren't as well rounded as somebody with an MBA or a lot of education and experience. So we end up gravitating toward the skills that we are confident in, and we work on those, and then we kind of mask the areas that we don't know much about. It's hard to admit to other people that you're you're not as good in certain areas. So you just keep plugging away. And and like I said, you find yourself, I've always called it the uncomfortable comfort zone for myself. So as I talked to other small business owners, they were recognizing themselves in what I was saying.
Yes. So, Mr. Rick, what role does perfectionism and over preparation play as a sophisticated form of procrastination, keeping the owner getting ready instead of taking a massive forward action?
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's a form of procrastination. So what was your question again? Is like what is it?
What does the perfectionism over preparation play in
Oh,
sophisticated form?
I think the form that it takes is again, there's certain areas of your business that you're not necessarily ignoring them, you're just keeping yourself moving. So it feels like you're doing what you're supposed to do, but somewhere deep down, you know you're not. And again, it's very uh it's very lonely. You isolate yourself so that nobody else figures it out. You know what I mean? So you end up, like I said, motion seems to be the fix all, but it isn't. And people do find themselves in that rut.
Let's talk about the mechanics of moving forward. The leap from uncomfortable to growth seems huge. What is the smallest, least terrifying expansion action you recommend as a first step? How do you build a bridge, not just yell, jump?
Oh yeah, yeah. And that is, I will point out this is not a how-to book. I don't give specifics because everybody's situation is different, right?
Mm,
So what I do here is mostly help people get aware of their situation, put names to things that are specific to them within themselves. They may recognize it, understand where they're at. So the things that I propose are really small. I call them micro moves. So at the end of each chapter, I have a little micro move, and it's all for yourself. You don't turn it into me. There's no workbooks. There's no right or wrong answers. There's no quizzes. It's all for yourself. And I propose things like making a note on your phone and writing something like filling out finishing a sentence that goes something like, um, if I were to do one thing that I know I should do, what is that one thing? And things like, because I speak in there, which is a very big topic. That was a big topic for me as well as some of my clients. Um, when you're a small business owner, if there's a chapter that helps people get aware of uh, basically there's there's a very well known business uh, I guess standard that if you have a business that if you had to step away from the business for 2 weeks, let's not make it a negative. Let's just say there's a illness or you're traveling or you're last minute because somebody else is sick and you need to go see them, whatever. What happens to your business? If the answer, and again, they're answering for themselves, not to me. If the answer is the business stops, that's not really a business. You just created a job for yourself, which is still better than having a job, I guess. But it again is not, that's the litmus test. If the business doesn't run when you're not there for a little bit, you need to focus on creating systems, basically.
Basically, so how do you help a business owner redefine risk? Is this the risk of staying stuck, often greater than the risk of moving forward?
Well, again, I keep it very general, so it's not specific to anybody. But the chapters go through things like what I just spoke about. The having systems will advance your business if that's what you want. Um, so those certain things, I just basically propose what can be. If you go into this area, if you know that your shortcomings are part of this, if this particular thing, let's say creating systems and having the business run whether you're there or not, um, those kind of things help people to visualize what they need to do. And it kind of, it's not like a magic pill that all of a sudden you're unstuck. It's really the mindset. And once you recognize whatever it is, whichever chapter you're reading it that really speaks to you, um, once you recognize it, and like I said, awareness, it's much harder to go back into that, where you're plugging your ears and la 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 la. It's harder to do that if you're really earnest and you really want to change, recognizing it. And I just give a couple little hints of what you could do to move forward. And that's really, I think that's the goal, is to start make the momentum move you forward.
As a key part of moving forward, often building a team, how do you guide owners through the psychological shift from sole operator to leader and CEO, which requires a completely different comfort zone?
Um, I don't want to harp on it, but I stay away from giving them specific things they should do. It's more about I'm making them aware of some of the areas that may be causing them to be stuck. You see what I mean? And
Hmm.
I do guide them a little bit just by giving them again awareness of certain areas. And so it's up to them if they really want to get out of this stuck position and they want to advance their business in any way that they decide. I mean, everybody's going to have their own ideas of what success is or what being unstuck might feel like. And it's really up to them to, once you recognize it, again, the awareness of it and having some hints toward what you should be working on or what areas you're specific to you that you're in that stuck uncomfortable comfort zone. Once you recognize that and you see certain areas that you should work on, that's really a huge thing. It kind of gets them out of that stuck zone and at least gets them moving forward. And then they can either have a friend come in or hire somebody or and I don't tell anybody they have to spend any money, by the way. This is all mental, really. It all comes down to that.
What practical systems or framework do you provide for making strategic decisions outside the comfort zone? How do they evaluate opportunities without falling back into analysis paralysis?
Um, I think the answer is I don't I don't give them any homework. I don't give them anything specific that they should do or need to do. I kind of hint toward it. I hint toward the area that they should be looking into because again, it's very everybody is so specific to their situation, what their strengths are. Their I mean, everybody has a different background, different education, different number of years they've been working at their business. So I'm more open their eyes to certain things and so that it doesn't again there's no workbook that says you need to do step one step two. There's none of that, and that's kind of why I wrote this book the way I did because it's not uh, it's not pressuring people. It's not I don't make anybody feel bad for where they're at. In fact, it's the opposite. I kind of boost them up a little bit because if you're a business owner, you're one of the very few people that had the guts to do it, and they need to give themselves credit for that and not feel bad that they're in that uncomfortable comfort zone. They It's up to them. They already know that they can handle things. They're strong. They already know that. So getting out of it, they can do it. Absolutely.
They can do it for sure. This journey requires a new self narrative. How do you help an owner rewrite their story from scrappy solopreneur to visionary leader or from a technician to entrepreneur?
Um, I don't know if that's really what I try. I mean, it's certainly people can certainly get that out of the book, but again, I'm more covering areas that might be their issue, that why they're stuck. I mean, maybe all the chapters. I don't know. I've certainly had my own issues with each of the chapters that I discussed. So, essentially, it again. I don't give specifics. I don't give tasks. I don't give them uh, how tos or anything like that. I'm more uh, kind of float through all the different scenarios that they might be in, and it's up to them to recognize it. And if that's where they want to change, I mean, this isn't a book you have to read cover to cover for sure. You can skim through it. You can read one chapter, put the book down, come back and reread it if it's has to do with you. It's a super easy read. It's very, like I said, it's not. I don't try to talk to over anybody's head. I mean, I'm certainly, other books talk over my head for sure. It's more of a very casual. I I actually wrote it with the thought in mind that I was sitting at a bar with sports playing on the TV with a beer, talking to a friend, That's the way it works. Hey, have you ever thought of, this kind of thing? That's kind of how casual it is. So again, it kind of just moves through a lot of different things, and it's up to them to kind of see what area they need to work on.
Interesting, Mr. Rick. Interesting indeed. So, what is the role of vulnerability and seeking help in breaking out of isolation, which is a hallmark of uncomfortable comfort zone?
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I know I keep saying this, but everyone's different, right? So some people may have the money to uh, hire an accountant to come in and finally get those books fixed. It may be taking a class. It may be buying a book. It may be looking at some YouTube videos to learn about an area that not uh, you're not confident in, right? So there's so many different things that people can do. Again, the book is more about uh, awareness and letting people know, hey, you can do this. It's not this is not rocket science. It's more about breaking out of that mental jail, the uncomfortable comfort zone. So which we find ourselves in sometimes we don't recognize that we're in it. And that's kind of what this book does is make people aware of some of the things that they may not have a name. It kind of puts a name to some of the things that they may have experienced or are currently experiencing.
Let's talk about the sustainable growth and avoiding regression, Mr. Rick. Once a momentum is gained, how do you help owners build growth zone that is sustainable and does not just become a new, more frantic and stressful, uncomfortable zone?
Well, I hate to uh, not give certain answers. I mean, when I'm dealing with my own clients, I do marketing. Uh, I definitely guide them, but with this book, it's more about letting them know that it's okay, that there's nothing wrong with them, that they there's nobody to say they did something wrong. It's more about helping them focus on the moving forward aspect and that they can do it and that they shouldn't feel bad and that there's ways to go through this and get out of the uncomfortable comfort zone and move forward. That's really what it's all about is movement. Any movement forward is going to help them. So as far as how far they go and to what extent, if it takes somebody 6 months, great. If they're really motivated, it takes them 6 weeks. Fantastic. Some of them it might take a year or two. I mean, I've been through all of those areas, to be honest with you.
Yes, move forward, people, not backward. We need to move forward and let it go. Beyond revenue, what is the personal and life cost of remaining in the uncomfortable comfort zone for years? What does the owner sacrifice?
Uh, I think I spoke a little bit about it at the beginning. Um, the they sacrifice time with their family, personal time. They definitely, and because I've been one of them. I mean, when you're in this uncomfortable comfort zone, you can't justify doing anything for yourself, either eating better or taking some time off, depending on who you are, taking a nap, not working 7 days, maybe working six. So slowly, one at a time, take some time off.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, for me, and I still find myself in this, it really is a difficult thing. Um, if I know I need to go to the gym, I haven't been to the gym in a while, it's so easy for me to because it's the business. I know I've got to fix this business somehow, and I you basically um, you get yourself in a situation where working harder and keeping yourself busy is what the business needs, even though intellectually somewhere we know that that's not what it is. But we sacrifice. If I'm in a situation where I've got a lot of work on my plate or I need to make more money, whatever the situation might be, I can easily justify not going to the gym and not eating healthy. If I don't have time to make myself lunch, I'll just go through the drive through. You can see where that can take people. It can take you down very poor roads and it doesn't help your mindset. So, getting out of that comfort zone or the uncomfortable comfort zone, you start to see things clearer. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Definitely. For the listeners who recognize themselves in the title and feel a mix of fear and hope. What is your message of encouragement and the first step you them take this week?
Um, those micro moves in these at the end of each chapter really helps them to kind of again awareness, making themselves aware of certain things that they know they need to do, so they're actually answering their own questions. They don't, like I said, they don't have to send them to me, or there's no right or wrong answer. So it's more of changing their mindset, which is that goes along with awareness, changing that mindset and recognizing things again that they may see it in this book and go, "Oh, that I definitely understand that one because I did it while I was writing it." So you
Mm-hmm.
when you see that, hopefully it'll it's on your mind, and you can't not have it on your mind. You don't want to ignore it. So if it's something that you recognize and you know deep down, because again, you don't have to tell anybody, this is all for you. If deep down you know that that's where the area that you need to improve, that's it. You broke through the at least for a little while. I mean, the fact that they are holding the book in their hand at all, right? That's a very great sign that they're ready. You know what I mean? They're ready to make some changes. So those little micro moves are for them, and it's answering questions. It's saying, uh, if I uh, couldn't do this particular task, who would do it? And it just makes them think, well, if I don't do it, then I can probably hire somebody part-time to do it. That kind of, it just gets their mind going into that direction that it should go. So it's just really it's an encouraging type book.
Encouraging and empowering for sure for entrepreneur. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, Mr. Rick, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in third season, and my book 101 review in sixth season this year, comedy 101 in third season, and Mob Food 101 in sixth season as well. Geography 101 Love Letters, Movie 101 Review, Music 101 on fourth season, Science 101, Sex 101 in its third season on my baby podcast. Trivia 101, Law 101. Mental Health 101, Motivation 101, Entrepreneurship 101, and of course, Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Mr. Rick, ultimately, is a breaking out of the uncomfortable comfort zone a necessary evolution for business to survive and thrive, or is it a choice only some need to make a reach their full potential?
If someone's listening to your great podcast, I didn't even realize you had so many. If they're listening to your podcast, if they end up buying this book, it's on Amazon, regular place. If they go that far, they've already shown that they're ready. And it's up to them to recognize the areas that they have to work on and make those steps.
Mhm. Make those steps, people. Make those steps and read the book of Mr. Rick, available where books are sold for sure. Uncomfortable comfort zone. So, Mr. Rick, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Sure. I mean, the book is available in Spanish and in English. It's available on Audible in English. Um, so it's it's a really easy read. So if somebody buys it, again, they don't have to read it cover to cover. There's no right or wrong way to read it. It's just a way to kind of wake themselves up.
Mm. Yes, people are support Mr. Rick because if you support him, for sure more and more empowering business books will rise. I have one more question. Mr. Rick, how can an owner create a culture and team that supports continuous, calibrated risk taking and learning so the entire organization moves forward together?
Well, without giving people how to's and specific things, at the back of the book, I list some really great business and motivation books that I've used to get themselves out of the uncomfortable comfort zone, a list of podcasts, a list of I think some websites. I mean, it's just YouTube channels that may help them, and it's going to resonate with them, or it isn't. They need to choose the ones that resonate with them, and use those to move forward.
Move forward, people. Again, move forward, not backward, and let it go. So, Mr. Rick Tracewell, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Modicum people, see you soon.